Hello and welcome to Creating the Goods. I'm Wendy. Today I'm showing you how to make these popular reveal peekaboo mini calendars, perfect for the new year. We'll start with the single layer dog balloon design shown here on a metal stand, which I've had in my collection for years. Next is the 3-layer gnome. For this one, I'm actually going to show you how to create this matching cardstock display stand using your Cricut. And finally, we have the Hedgehog. I'm using colored cardstock here to save on printer ink, and it sits perfectly on this small little black easel. I'll be using 80 to 100 pound various colors and textures of cardstock and my Maker 3. Since this is a print and cut project, you'll also need an inkjet printer. I will list everything that I am using in the description box below. So let's head over to Design Space and get busy. Here we are in Cricut Design Space, and I have all 3 calendars ready on my canvas with the designs I'll be using right next to them. These specific designs are from contributing artists here in Cricut's library, and you can tell by these little purple icons. This means you'll need Cricut access to use them, and they are for personal use only. You can certainly use designs from other sources. Just think of this as a guide to help you create your own mini calendars using whatever images you like. We're going to start today with the dog balloon, and to keep things simple, I'm just going to hide the other 2 calendars for now. I'll go over to the Layers panel and click on the icon to hide them, and this will give us more room to work. I'm going to zoom in a little so we can see what we are doing, and I'm also going to change my canvas color to gray. This helps so we can see the white images better. I really like this newer feature Cricut added. Right under the design, we now have options like delete, duplicate, attach, and ungroup. So I'm going to click on group, and now we can see all the layers of the months of this little mini calendar. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to highlight all the months. I'll go up to a line at the top and click center. Now I'll click group, and I'm just going to move this out of the way for now. Next, we need to add a shape for our calendar front. So I'll come over to the left, I'll click on shapes, and I'm just going to choose the square with the rounded edges. I'm going to use the sizing handles, and I'm just going to slightly increase the size of the square. I'll place it over the dog balloon, and I'm going to change the color to white by clicking the color box at the top. Then I'll go up to arrange and send the square to the back. Now, I'll center the dog on the square, positioning it so the legs sit on the shape while the rest of the dog stays above it. I'm going to zoom in a little more so we can be precise. I'll make sure I have just the dog design selected. Then I'll go up to the top. I'm going to click the pencil, scroll down to Effects, and click Offset. I'm going to increase this slightly. I don't want it to be too narrow because then it will cause tearing. That looks good. So I'll click Apply. Now I'm going to move the dog design out of the way. I'll highlight both the square and the offset, come down to the bottom right, click Combine, and then click Weld. This is now one continuous piece. I'll bring the dog balloon back, line it up at the top of the welded shape. I'll highlight both layers, go back down to the bottom right, and click Slice. I'll move the dog out of the way and remove the sliced out piece. This is now the front of our calendar. I'm going to duplicate this piece and move it off to the side. For this duplicate, I'm going to go down to Contour at the bottom right, click Hide All Contours, and then click Apply. This now is our solid base layer. I'll change this color to purple. Now I'll bring the calendar front back on top of our base, and I'll highlight both layers and click Group. To size the calendar, I'm just going to come up here to the top, make sure the lock is on, and change the height to 6 inches, and then press Enter. This will keep everything proportionate. I'll ungroup again. Now I'll click on the plus sign to duplicate just the white calendar front. You will need 12 total, 1 for each month. To save time, I'm only going to show January and February. So I'll go over to the images on the left. If I search calendar templates, you will see quite a few options. The ones I'm using already are bookmarked, so I'll click the 3 lines and choose Bookmarked. Here are the mini calendar month templates from January through December. I'll select January and February, then close this panel. I want to make a few changes. I'm going to slide this over, ungroup, and I want to delete the background squares because I want our background to be white. Next, I'm going to go down to Contour and remove the U next to the S for Sunday. If you'd rather not do this, then you don't have to do this step. Now, it looks like it froze, so I'm just going to close it and reopen it. There we go. I'm going to click on the U and then click Apply. Next, I'll align the month on the white panel. I'll highlight both layers, and then I'm going to click Flatten. This is now a print then cut. I'll repeat the same steps for February. I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'll take our February calendar and place it on top of our white panel. I'll position it. Then I'll come down to Contour, remove the U from the S, and click Apply. Then I will make sure everything looks well and aligned, highlight both layers, come down and click Flatten. Now I'll bring everything together. I'll bring this to the front. I'm going to highlight everything, and I'm just going to click Group. And there you have it. We have our cute little 1-layer balloon dog calendar. So let's go ahead and move to the 2-layer hedgehog calendar. Now, for our hedgehog calendar, this tan and beige version you see here is what the finished calendar will look like. To achieve this look, I'll be using beige cardstock, so the printer does not have to print this color, which saves ink. I'm going to ungroup this finished example and move it off to the side for now, so we can focus on the version the printer will actually be printing. Here's our cute little hedgehog. I'll ungroup them, and you see this design has 2 layers. I'm going to group them back together so I can move him around the canvas easily. Just like before, we need a shape for the calendar front. So I'll go over to the left, click on Shapes, and choose the same rounded square we used for the first calendar. I'll resize it a little larger and change the color to white. Now I want the hedgehog to sit about halfway on the shape. So I'll resize the square just a little bit more. And I'm also going to zoom in a little more as well. Okay, I'm going to align it a little bit more, make it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to send the hedgehog to the front. I'm going to line it up so that the nose and the back end are almost even with the length of the shape, because this helps the design look balanced once we cut it out. Next, I'll add an offset to just the design, so I need to just click on our design. I'll go up to the top where the pencil is and it says Edit. I'll scroll down to Offset, click on that. Now, that's a little too large, so I'll make it slightly smaller. Okay, and I like that. I'll click Apply. I'll move the hedgehog off to the side. I'll highlight the white square and the offset, come down to the bottom right, click Combine, and then click Weld. Now, this is one continuous piece. I'll bring the hedgehog back onto our welded shape. When I highlight everything, you'll notice the slice is not available. That's because you can't slice more than 2 layers at a time. And right now we have 3 layers. So what we need to do is ungroup the hedgehog design. You'll see now both hedgehog layers over here in the layers panel. I'm going to hide the dark brown layer, which is the top layer, by clicking the eye icon. That way I can slice without moving anything. Now I'll highlight the 2 visible layers and click Slice. I'll move this layer aside and I'm going to delete the sliced out piece as well. I'll duplicate the calendar front and carefully move it out of the way, making sure I don't shift the original one. I'll come down to Contour, click Hide All, and then click Apply. Now the shape is whole again. I'll go back to the Layers panel, turn the top hedgehog layer back on. I'll highlight both layers again, and then I'm just going to click Slice. I'll remove the design and delete the sliced out piece. I'm just going to move it over, and then I'm going to duplicate this one more time. I'll go down to Contour, click Hide All, and then click Apply. This will now be the back of our calendar. I'm going to change this layer to a dark brown, so I'll go up to the top and click on brown. Next layer up, I'll bring it to the front and change it to beige. The top layer, our calendar front, will stay white, and I'll bring that to the front. I'll highlight all the layers. I'll go up to the top where it says Align, scroll down, and click Center Align. Now I want to size the calendar. I'll go up to the top, and I'm going to make sure the lock is on. And I'll change the height to 5.0. This keeps everything proportionate. I'll group the design, and I'm just going to move it out of the way. Next, I'll duplicate just the calendar front once to show the process one more time. Again, you will need 12 total, 1 for each month. I'm going to add the same mini calendar month templates I used for the dog balloon. I'll bring in January and February. First, I'll ungroup January and delete that blue background square. Then I'm going to come down to Contour and remove the U, and then click Apply. I'll do the same for February, ungrouping it, deleting that blue square. Before I go any further, I want to open the Contour tool again and remove that U from February template as well. Now, I'll align each of the months onto its white calendar front. Now, looking back, I really should have moved these other panels away from the rest of the design to give myself more room to work. Because these layers are overlapping, I had to be more precise with my selection. But first, let me start by highlighting the January layers and then coming down to the bottom right and clicking Flatten. And again, this will become a print then cut. Since I can't easily grab the February pieces on the canvas, I'm just going to go over here to the Layers panel here on the right. I'll hold down my Shift key on my computer. I'll click on the white panel, and then I'll click on the February calendar. I'll come down to the bottom, and I'm just going to click Flatten to make it again a print then cut. It's a good reminder that even if your workspace is crowded, the Layers panel is your best friend for getting something like this accomplished. Okay, I'll bring this to the front. I'm going to highlight everything. I'll go up to the top and I'll click Center Align. And then I'll just click Group. And there you have it, our little finished hedgehog reveal peekaboo mini calendar. Let me just move this out of the way and bring in the others. That was our 2-layer hedgehog. Let's move on to our third and final design calendar. Let's take it one step further and we're going to make a 3-layer reveal peekaboo mini calendar with a gnome. Here's our cute little gnome calendar, and I'm just going to ungroup it first. For this calendar, we're placing the gnome on the side instead of at the top. I'll move the calendar off to the side so we have more room to work. Now, same as the other 2 calendars, I'll go to Shapes and choose the same square shape. I'm going to change the color to white. I'll increase the size, bring the gnome over to the side, and send the square to the back. I like the size of the gnome, so I'll just going to make the square a little shorter and wider, with the gnome sitting about halfway on the square. I'll line it up so the top of the gnome is neatly aligned with the top of the square. Okay, and I like how this looks. I'm going to click on just the gnome design, go up to the top where it says Edit, click on the pencil, scroll down to Offset, and I'm just going to increase it slightly, and I like that. Then I'll just click Apply. I'll move the design out of the way. To make this offset one solid piece, I'm going to come down to Contour, and I'm going to choose Hide All, and then just click Apply. Now I'll highlight both layers, come down to the bottom and click Weld. This is now our foundation piece. I'm going to duplicate this and keep it as our base. Now I'll bring the gnome design back. This design is 1 layer and the base is 1 layer. So when I highlight both, Slice is available. I'll click Slice, remove the design, and delete the cutout piece. You can now see the beard, nose, and shoes, and the rest is transparent. I want to make those as separate layers. So I'll go down to Contour, click the beard, nose, and shoes, and then click Apply. This is now the calendar front. I'll leave this white. I'm going to duplicate this and move it out of the way. I'll go to Contour, click Hide All, then click just the beard, and then click Apply. This is our beard layer, and I'll keep this white as well. I'm going to duplicate it one more time. I'll go to Contour, click Hide All, then turn on the nose, shoes, and beard, and then click Apply. I'll change this layer to red. This is our accent layer. It gives contrast and depth behind the details. Next, I'll change the nose and shoes layer to beige. I will bring the red layer to the front and place that on top. Then I will add our base layer, which also acts as the color for our beard, and I'll place that in the back. Then I will finally add the white calendar front. I'll highlight all the layers, go up to the top, click Align, and then click Center. Now I want to size it, so I'm just going to group it to keep everything together. I'll go up to the top, keep the lock on, and change just the width to 5.0 so everything stays proportionate. Now that we have the gnome fully assembled and sized, it's time for the final touch. Since you've already seen the process for the other calendars, I've gone ahead and prepped January just to show you the completed look. By adding this final layer, it brings the whole project together. This completes our 3-layer gnome calendar. To finish this project, we're going to add a stand for the mini calendar. In Cricut Design Space, there are several stand templates already available. So let's come over here to the left. I'm going to click on Images. I search for Calendar Stand, and this is the one that I chose. I really like this specific stand because it's simple and it works perfectly for these little mini calendars. I'm going to click on that and add it to my canvas. And boy, does that come in big. Now, I'm just going to use these sizers and bring it in until it's about even with the calendar's height. I don't want the back of the stand to be higher than the calendar. And this doesn't have to be really exact. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Next, I want to do is change the color. So I'll come down to the bottom right and click Detach. I'll go over to the Layers panel, click on our stand, then go up to the color box and change it to white. Now, I need to attach the score lines and the stand again. So I'll highlight both layers, come down to the bottom, and click Attach. Now, this display stand is all ready for our gnome. For printing and cutting, I'm only going to show one calendar from start to finish, and I'm using the Hedgehog. The reason I chose the Hedgehog is that it's a little different from the other two calendars, where this one is printed on using beige cardstock. So all I have to do now is go up to the top and click Make It. The first thing I need to do is change the material size, and I'm noticing it is at 8.5 by 14 inches, which seems to be a newer setting. Or am I just noticing this now? Since I am using standard 8.5 by 11 inch paper, I need to go in and change that. This nice thing is that once I change the size for one of my print and cut mats, the rest of the print mats will automatically update to match. However, for my scoring and cutting mats, Design Space won't do that for me. I'll need to go through and change each of these individually to 8.5 by 11 inches to match the cardstock I am using. Now, as you can see, I have two calendar fronts on one single piece of cardstock. This is exactly why I made the calendar this size. It's much more efficient, and of course it saves on paper. Now that all the mats are set, I'm just going to go ahead and load my beige cardstock into my Epson ET8550 printer. Now, once that's done, I'll click Continue, click Send to Printer, click Next. It is showing my printer Epson ET8550, which is correct. I'll turn off the bleed and toggle on the User System dialog box. If your printer dialog box doesn't pop up, it may be hidden behind Cricut's app. Just lower your window to find it. I'll click Print. My color is on, even though I really don't need it for this, but I'll just leave it on. My paper size is letter 8.5 by 11. Media and quality. I'll click on Feed Form, and I'm going to use my main tray. Media type is Cardstock 1, and I'll click on, for the quality, Best. Now, yours may look different depending on the printer you are using. That's it. I'll just click Print. Using different color cardstock as well as ink colors can really change the look of these little mini reveal peekaboo calendars. I love experimenting and trying new things. Now, speaking of trying new things, have you ever used digital paper patterns? Would you like to see me do a video on how to use them? Let me know in the description box below. Once the printing is complete, I will click Done. I'll set my base material and I'll click it on medium cardstock 80 pound. Now for my pressure, I will be going to change it to more. I personally like to use a little extra pressure because I feel like it gives me a much cleaner cut, especially when I'm working with thicker cardstock. It just seems to help the blade get through a little bit easier. And I will be checking this box to keep the material setting the same, so I don't have to keep repeating them for each mat if they are going to be the same. I am using the fine point blade. Now all I have to do is load my mat. I'll place the cardstock on my blue light grip mat, and I'm using the light grip mat because it's specifically designed for a lighter weight materials like this cardstock. It provides enough hold to keep everything in place during the cut, but it allows for a much easier release. I'm making sure the arrow is in the top left, and I'll use my brayer to make sure the paper is smoothed down and attached well to the mat. Then I'll load my mat. Now I'll have to wait a second or two for the machine to register the mat, and make sure it is the correct size. Then Go button will start flashing. Once it's ready, I will click that, and the machine will start reading the registration marks so it knows exactly where to cut around my printed image. And once that is finalized, it will begin to cut. After the cut is finished, I'll unload the mat, and I find the best way to remove the calendar front is to turn the mat over and carefully peel the mat away from the paper. I'm also going to rotate the mat as I work to make sure I don't tear or bend any of those loose, fine details. To keep things moving, I'm going to cut the rest of these calendar fronts off camera, and I'll meet you at the next step. Next up is our display stand, and this piece is going to score first and then cut. I'm going to set my base material again to medium cardstock, 80 pound, and I'm also going to change my pressure to more. Now I need to change my tools, so I will click on Edit Tools, and I'm going to change the scoring wheel to the scoring stylist, and then I'll click Apply. I'm still using the fine point blade, so now I need to add my scoring stylus to clamp A of my machine. I do have the scoring wheel, but I prefer the stylus for projects like this. It's just easier and it saves so much time because I don't have to stop the machine to remove a wheel and then put the blade back in to clamp B. This way it scores and cuts in one smooth step. I'm just going to get this loaded and cut out, and I'll meet you at the next step. Next is our light brown layer for the hedgehog face, nose, and eye cutouts. I'm keeping my settings the same here, so we'll just get this loaded and moving. After this, we have one more final layer of glitter cardstock to cut, and then we have all our pieces ready to assemble. Now for our final layer. We're using glitter cardstock. Because this material is much thicker and textured, I need to change my base material setting. So I'm going to click on Browse All Materials. I'll click Cardstock, and then I'll search for glitter cardstock. Once I select that, I'll click Done. I'm also going to make sure my pressure is set to more. Glitter cardstock can be really tough on blades, so that extra pressure helps to ensure to get a clean cut all the way through. Now I'll get this loaded onto the mat, and while this finishes up, I have to ask, are you a type of crafter who cleans up as you go, or is your craft area a total disaster by the time you finish a project like me? I always love hearing how other people work. This is our final cut, so let's get this off the mat and get everything layered together. Now that everything is cut, we can start putting our hedgehog together. I'm going to start stacking the 12 months, and I really love the look of the print on this beige cardstock. It gives the pages such a clean, professional finish compared to printing on plain white cardstock. Now, once the months are stacked, I'm going to be adding the nose, feet, and eye layer to give him some personality. Finally, I'll attach the entire stack to our brown glitter backer. That glitter is the perfect choice to mimic the hedgehog's bristles and gives the whole calendar a nice sturdy frame. And there he is, perfectly styled and ready for his little black easel. If you find your mini calendar doesn't sit flat after it's been stacked, just place it under something heavy for a couple of hours or overnight, and that should correct the problem. For the balloon calendar, I chose this pretty sparkly purple cardstock to really make the design stand out. I added a small gemstone for that little extra detail, and when I show the months here, you'll see that I stuck with the classic white cardstock for each of the calendar months. Moving over to our gnome, you can really see how those individual layers work together. I used a solid white cardstock for the backer to create that long beard, and then I used the beige cardstock for the small details like his nose and his shoes. The red glitter cardstock was my choice for his hat and his clothes to give him that bright, festive look. And again, I used the classic white cardstock for all of the calendar months. I also really like how the gnome sits off to the side of this layout. It's a nice change of pace from the other two designs. We need to assemble the cardstock stand for the gnome, and you can see the 2 score lines right here. I'm going to go ahead and fold along each one. Then I'll use my bone folder to get a nice sharp crease so the stand has the structure it needs to stay upright. Taking the time to really burnish these folds helps the stand hold its shape much better. Now we could go ahead and add our little mini gnome calendar. And that's how you create your own layered reveal or peekaboo mini calendars using Cricut Design Space. We covered a single layer design, a 2-layer design, and a 3-layer design, so you can really see how flexible this project can be. I hope this gives you some great ideas for customizing your own calendars and playing around with different cardstock, colors, and textures. If you found this video helpful, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up so YouTube knows to share it with other crafters. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.